So as you can see, I have my Dreamcast booted up. The reason I booted it up is I wanted to take some time to talk about what I think is the best demo disc for any video game system ever created, and that is this. This is the Dreamcast Generator Volume 2, and how you got this disc was you purchased a Dreamcast system near the end of its life. There was a Generator Volume 1, obviously, that came out when the Dreamcast system first came out. But you would get this disc, I think, in the last year to a couple months of the Dreamcast life. This disc was included with inside your Dreamcast box. The reason I think this demo disc is the best ever is just look at the titles that are on it. So you got Tomb Raiders, The Last Revelation, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Railroad Tycoon 2, the best Sonic game ever, Sonic Adventure, Dead or Alive 2, Rayman 2, Fur Fighters, and MDK 2. There's, 4 second versions of games, all the 2s got going on there. But this was a time when, you got demo discs with your systems. PlayStation, I think, might have given you a demo disc. I don't actually remember. I wasn't a PlayStation guy, but I know the PlayStation magazine would give you a disc. There was a Dreamcast magazine that basically gave you some of these games in, on the disc, and then there'd be like a special clip behind the scenes thing. But these all were only included with the Dreamcast Generator Volume 2. After this, and after I think the official Xbox magazine would give you discs, they went to more of a you want a demo of a game, then you have to download the demo off like Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. So it's kind of a in between time when there were no demo discs and no sort of demos for games, and then now you have, or then you had discs, and now you can just go get a demo anytime you want. But I think this is the best demo disc that was ever created. I'm gonna boot it up and just show you the menu, and maybe I'll play a few of the games, but a few of my favorites. So when I often played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, obviously, Railroad Tycoon 2, which was an odd choice, but the reason I played is I live on the East Coast of the United States, and the setting, I guess, for Railroad Tycoon 2 is the East Coast of the United States, actually through the states that I lived in. So I found that interesting. I also played, obviously, the, probably the best Sonic game of all time, Sonic Adventure. Dead or Alive 2, I think I played some Rayman 2, and then one of the oddball choices is MDK 2. It's a pretty interesting game if you haven't played it, and I just played the demo so much that is one of the games that I actually eventually picked up later in my, gaming career. But I'll put the little sleeve to the side and boot up the game. So I already have the disc in, I just gotta close the lid. As you can see, by the date that was in the top right, I had this Dreamcast unplugged, so it kind of defaulted back to a different day, or back in time day. You would have seen this screen, or that screen that passed, on a lot of arcade systems back in the day, and still probably now if you went to an arcade, and you saw the screen of the sleeve flash on the screen as well. So this is what the demo disc menu looks like. It's very simple. It says Dreamcast Sampler, which is interesting because nowhere on the sleeve does it say Sampler. It says Dreamcast Generator Volume 2. If you weren't actually nosy enough to figure out what this is and stick it in your system, you wouldn't know that, it's a sampling of your games. Obviously, you might see it includes demo, but it's a time when terms like that weren't really, known. You didn't really know about demos of things back in the 2000s. But yeah, sampler is up here, but nowhere on the sleeve. So the way the menu works is just really simple. Left and right are the only options. So all the way hard left is Sonic Adventure. But like I said, it's probably one of the best Sonic games ever. They did come out with Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast, I believe, before the Dreamcast sadly ended its run. Next is Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. This is probably the game that I played the least on the system. I played some Tomb Raider back, in my gaming career, particularly on PlayStation and I think the PC. But it's just the game that I didn't play that often. Fur Fighters, it's probably, second right there with Tomb Raider. I didn't really play it often, but I did put some time in this, basically. I will say that this demo disc, I am surprised that it survived. I played it so often. I'm in a point in my life where I'm, fine now, but I wasn't that fortunate back then. And, I had games. I had a video game system. I should be fortunate to have that, but I had to, play some demos a lot more than probably most of my friends, so I put a lot of work in a demo disc. I'm surprised it has survived. So let's go next. Railroad Tycoon 2. I played this a lot, and like I said, I think the only reason is because it was through my, state, and pretty much connecting the town or the city that I grew up in for 20-some years, connecting it to pretty much where I went to college, and then connecting it north to where I live now. So it's kind of funny how that works out, where I was just a kid playing a railroad game that through my state, and then it kind of connects to things that happen future in my life. So that was kind of cool, just to look back on that. MDK2, this is another one of the twos. So it's an interesting game. The name kind of stands for something that's not really PC, I guess you could say. It stands for murder, death, kill. But in this game, you play as 3 different interesting characters. One is just a guy, another one is a mad scientist, and then the last is one of the more interesting ones. I think it's a dog with 4 limbs or something like that. I don't know, or 4 arms, and he can stand up, something weird like that. And it's kind of a weird, interesting game. It's kind of hard to describe unless you play it, so I recommend you try it out, because it's one of the only games on this disc where I played it so often I eventually picked up a copy of my own. So next up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So this is obviously one of the most famous skating games of all time. It kind of made skateboarding mainstream. Everybody had it in their living room from this game. I did own this game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but I owned it on the Nintendo 64. When Dreamcast came out, I then picked it up on as Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I picked that up on the Dreamcast, but I did put some time in on, the demo right here. So this demo is the first level, the warehouse level, probably the most famous level in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So I put a lot of time in on that. Next, Rayman 2, another 2. This disc is filled with sequels. This is a game I did play, but I wasn't, putting in a lot of time on it. So like I said, I played all these games for hours and hours, but some were my favorites, so obviously they got more of my attention. So Rayman 2, and then Dead or Alive 2. This one I played often. I had a buddy next door. We would just play it all the time. Between this and Tony Hawk was my, social games on this demo. We would just play it because we were really into these fighting games like Dead or Alive and things like that. So we played these often. And the graphics, I think for the Dreamcast, Dead or Alive was one of the games that really allowed you to show off the graphics and the strength of this. Now, looking back now, obviously, the graphics, even this user interface, isn't that great to today's standards, but the graphics on Dead or Alive 2 allow you to see, the graphics of the Dreamcast, at least back in that time. And then it reverts back to Sonic Adventure. So let's just boot up Sonic Adventure real fast, because Sega is known for Sonic, and it's arguably the best Sonic game ever. So you get to see directions on how to do things in the game. Push A. I don't think it makes any difference, but I do anyway. So while that loads, an interesting thing about this, I eventually traded in my Dreamcast to get, original Xbox games, things like that. I'll let you see the load screens. So I traded in my Dreamcast, traded in my games after, it's kind of sad hearing, oh, they're not going to make games. They pretty much canceled the Dreamcast. Kind of like how they do other systems, just end of life. But, I traded in everything, and obviously this is something that doesn't have a barcode on it. It might have like a serial number hidden somewhere, but just not a barcode. It's like not for resale. Oh, there you go. You can see it right there, not for resale. So places like GameStop, they won't really take this. So I pretty much rolled into GameStop with the whole, box filled of Dreamcast stuff, Dreamcast games, memory cards, things like that. And they pretty much, said, oh, we don't take that. So I took it home. So this is actually the one thing that I have from my original Dreamcast time. I eventually, obviously, you're seeing me play on it, but I picked up a Dreamcast, and then started, now that I have, I'm an adult, I figured I can splurge a little and try to reobtain some of the games I played in my youth. So this is the only thing that actually made it from my youth. But here you have the cutscenes from Sonic Adventure. I'm going to speed through that. So, Sonic Adventure trial version. Start button. So it's the first level, Emerald Coast. Yeah, me and my buddy next door, along with playing Dead or Alive often, we would kind of just take turns and see who can fly down the fastest on this course. Just to give you just random history about my gaming friends. We didn't mean to. We just always, if I had one system, they always had the other. We didn't have to, I want to get this, you should get that. It just happened to work that way. I was a Dreamcast guy. He had a PlayStation 2, and then when Dreamcast ended, I went to the original Xbox. Because in my mind, the Dreamcast was the original Xbox. Because if you remember, it says compatible with Windows CE on the front. Pretty much has Microsoft operating system powering some of the, I think, online capabilities of it. But I only booted up Sonic Adventure because I know it's kind of a timed thing, and I won't really just be going through all the games on it, because some of them don't really have an end. I mean, Railroad Tycoon, I guess, could have an end, but you don't really want to see me building something in Railroad Tycoon for 30 minutes, so I just wanted to pick something real fast to just show off, how much game time you do actually get in this demo. And I don't know, it's just my favorite demo. I don't think there's any demo disc that matches this. If there is one, let me know in the comments, and I'll check out the demo disc. But and I may have mentioned, some of these demos that are on this disc. There's the end of the level. And I'm sure this time is really bad, and I would have beaten this back in the day, but a lot of the demos on this disc were kind of split up and featured on other, I think Dreamcast magazine had a bunch of discs that came out, so maybe like the first disc had Tomb Raider and it had Tony Hawk, and then you get like a video of Shenmue 2 or something like that on it. But nothing featured all of these great games. I'm not a fan of Rayman 2 and Fur Fighters, and not that much on Tomb Raider, or at least this Tomb Raider. But I recognized, these were actually good games and people played these games. But like I said, my favorites were Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Railroad Tycoon, which I don't really consider that a top game. I think it just has nostalgic value to me. Sonic Adventure is probably one of the best games. Dead or Alive is just a great series. And MDK2 is, just a well-known, kind of like a cult following game. But that's what you get on the Dreamcast Generator Volume 2, which, like I said, I consider to be the best demo disc that was ever created. So if you're a Dreamcast fan, be sure to pick one up. If you bought a Dreamcast early and somehow kept it and only have Volume 1, I mean, these things are on eBay. I don't know what they run for, but like I said, this one is the sole Dreamcast item from my childhood, and I just love it. So if you got any demo discs that you think can beat this, let me know in the comments. Let me know why you think it can beat it. And give me a list of obviously the games that are on the demo so I can go research it myself. But I look forward to reading that. But hope you like this video and just showing off this great demo disc. Thanks. Bye.